All right. Good. Hello, Honey. All right, so here's a few news articles. Oh, which I've opened in the wrong window, pardon me. Shove this, whoa. All right, there we are. So, there's a few news articles I thought were interesting. I heard of this device years ago. There is a device called Holmes or Watson or something. There, Albert. They call it Albert after Albert Einstein. This is a sensor to detect hacking. It's an intrusion detection system, and they put it on government servers. And the idea is then they can get a report of how many government servers are receiving certain attacks. And I've heard about this years ago. There's been a push to deploy it to as many local governments as possible. Now, in America, of course, local governments are pretty weak, and so you can't force them to do it, but they're recommending it. And now what's happening, of course, is a lot of the local governments are refusing to put in the sensor and removing it because they regard this as the government hacking their voting machines, because they believe the sort of Mike Lindell stuff, that somehow the voting machines are being hacked over the internet, and these IDS systems are part of a government plan to take over your voting. So this all makes no sense because the voting machines are not connected to the internet, but it doesn't seem to matter whether things make sense or whether they're true anymore on the right. Anyway, so the feds are saying we really wish everybody would deploy these things, and the locals said, well, you know, we got hit with ransomware, and this thing did nothing to stop it, so what good is it anyway? And of course, it's not perfect, and now the definition is not all up to date. In fact, most government stuff is pretty badly out of date and pretty weak anyway, so you could probably say it's not really going to do much, but anyway, it's going to do even less if you don't install it. And that's just a technological image of the same thing where we can't even get most of our people to take the vaccine, or a lot of them. It's just a bunch of people in America just don't want to do anything the government wants them to do, and that's a popular opinion. So a lot of people cannot get therapy. Most young people in particular can't get therapy. There are very few therapists in America. There are many counties that don't have one, and the cost is high. So there's a bunch, I didn't know this, there's a bunch of online TikTok creators that are making therapy videos, and they are amateurs, often people with mental illness, who just research something and report on it online and give life help tips and stuff. And some people like them and follow them, and I'd say it just fits into the another American tradition of self-help books, where just random people write books recommending how to quit drinking or make more friends or something. And anyway, that's what a lot of people are doing instead of professional therapy. Yeah.
Don't they have a bunch of apps for therapy now, like digital doctors sort of things?
I know they've got ones where you can pay for therapy. I hear ads for them all the time. BetterHelp is one, where you actually get connected to a real therapist and you pay money. There may be apps that just sort of simulate a therapist without a human at all. That's been around since Elijah in the 60s. There have been automated friends that sort of pretend to be someone you can talk to. There are probably more of them, yeah. And I think nobody really knows how good these things are, but you can't beat the price.
China is banning all the non-experts.
China, what?
China is banning all the people that influencers that are non-experts.
They are banning them?
Yeah, non-experts.
Yeah, I mean, that's the old-fashioned argument, is that you shouldn't let amateurs do this. You should have to get a degree or something and have credentials. That's right. And all this influencer stuff is just the idea that any amateur can do something, like in cybersecurity, for example. An enormous number of famous cybersecurity workers have no formal training at all. But yeah.
For cybersecurity news, what sources do you use?
For cybersecurity news? Oh, well, I find it all over the place now. I find it on Google News, but there's other things like Ars Technica and Hacker News and Slashdot. Those are some good ones, but the main thing is Twitter. If you follow serious people on Twitter, you will be in contact with the researchers that develop all this stuff. And so Twitter is the number one source of fast news in cybersecurity. It's the standard social network for the cybersecurity community.
Yeah, but if you want to choose one source, would you say the Hacker News, or they get stuff from Twitter as well?
Well, they all just anything big echoes around through all of them. Hacker News is probably not the best.
Because if there's 10 news sources, I would rather choose one that has pretty much everything everyone else has,
Yeah, well, that's dangerous. Trusting any one news source too much is dangerous. They all have their slants. But anyway, probably Slashdot is the best if you only want to use one source. Better than the Hacker News. The Hacker News only has flashy stories. But anything important, well, I go through all of them. But, you know, I highly recommend using many news sources, especially these days when the biases are getting very large.
Even in cybersecurity?
Yes. Yes, there are some cybersecurity things that are just technical, but there's an awful lot of cybersecurity things that wander into politics, especially privacy and government security and election security. You get a lot of stuff on that that is strongly influenced by political moves. So these are very good questions.
So
All right.
you recommended cyber or what was
Slashdot.
Oh,
Yeah.
Slashdot?
Yeah, I'll put it up. Slashdot is an old one. There's Slashdot. It's a source for news, technical news, and it's pretty good. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's pretty good. All right. Well, I think that's enough of this. We've hit the official time. Let me stop this recording. And